Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to dive into one of the most enigmatic and controversial figures in biblical history, Pontius Pilate. As a Roman governor in the time of Jesus Christ, Pilate played a crucial role in the story of the crucifixion, but his life goes beyond the sacred pages. As we explore his story, we will discover the complexities of his decisions, the moral dilemmas he faced, and the lasting impact of his actions. So, get ready for a journey through time as we unravel the mysteries behind the man who washed his hands of the fate of Jesus. The story of Pontius Pilate goes beyond a simple religious account. It is also a fascinating study in history and morals. As a Roman governor, he faced difficult decisions, such as choosing between Barabbas and Christ, and famously washed his hands to show that he did not want to be responsible for Jesus' crucifixion. His life took place at a time full of cultural conflicts, religious tensions, and political pressures. By analyzing his choices and his destiny, we can try to better understand this enigmatic character from biblical history. Pontius Pilate is a figure known for his role in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, as mentioned in the Bible. He was governor of the Roman province of Judea from 26 to 36 AD, during the reign of Emperor Tiberius. One of the most intriguing moments of his governance was when he allowed the Jewish population to choose to release Barabbas, a known criminal, rather than Jesus, who Pilate knew was innocent. This complicated decision contributed to the mystery that still surrounds his historical figure today. Although Pontius Pilate's wife had dreamed of Jesus and advised him not to get involved with the case, Pilate ended up handing Jesus over to be crucified after the people chose to free Barabbas. He even washed his hands in a gesture that indicated he didn't want to be part of that unfair decision, but that didn't free him from the consequences of his actions. In today's video, we will explore the life and tragic death of Pontius Pilate. We will discuss who he was, how he came to power, why he washed his hands and allowed Jesus to be crucified, as well as the tragic consequences of the wrong choices he made. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the story of Pontius Pilate has a surprising ending that you won't want to miss. But first, please click the like button to support the channel and subscribe. This not only helps the channel but also ensures you don't miss any of our videos. Now, let's get started and dive deep into the life of this intriguing man. The Roman Empire conquered the region of Judea in 63 BC, placing it under its control. Many Jews did not like this occupation, as they preferred to have their political independence. The cultural and religious differences between the Romans and the Jews were also significant. The Romans practiced polytheism, worshipping several gods, while the Jews were monotheists, believing in only one God. Cultural and religious differences between the Romans and the Jews often resulted in conflicts of beliefs and practices. The Roman Empire, for example, imposed high taxes on its provinces, including Judea, to cover its large military and administrative expenses. This high taxation was a great source of dissatisfaction among the Jews. Roman governors and prefects, such as Pontius Pilate, were responsible for overseeing these provinces. They had a duty to maintain order, collect taxes, and ensure loyalty to the empire. However, the way these officials exercised their power often generated tensions with the local population, especially when they demonstrated cultural insensitivity toward Jewish religious practices. For example, there were occasions when the Romans attempted to install emblems or statues in Jerusalem, which was against Jewish religious beliefs that prohibit graven images. These actions provoked great indignation and protests among Jews. Additionally, there were sporadic uprisings and resistance movements against Roman rule. Groups such as the Zealots, for example, sought to challenge Roman authority through armed rebellions, which contributed to a constant climate of tension and unrest in the region. The Jewish religion played a central role in the lives of Jews, who believed they had a special covenant with God and resented any foreign interference in their religious affairs. The Romans, on the other hand, often viewed Jewish religious practices as strange and suspected that they could foster rebellious feelings. This situation generated constant tensions in Judea, the region under the government of Pontius Pilate, increasing pressure on his administration. As for Pontius Pilate's early life, it is not widely documented, and historical records regarding his origins are limited. What we know about him comes mainly from brief references in historical texts and New Testament accounts of the Bible. Pontius Pilate was born around 26 BC and belonged to the Roman equestrian order, a social class that, although below the senatorial class, was still considered part of Rome's elite. His exact birthplace is unclear, but it is likely to have been in central Italy. Little is known about his family, his childhood, or his educational background. Pilate was able to distinguish himself and rise in the Roman public service mainly through his connections with influential figures in Roman politics. This practice of using family or political relationships and connections to obtain positions within the administration was not uncommon among members of the equestrian class. This helped him to be appointed to important positions within the Roman Empire, culminating in his position as governor of Judea. Pontius Pilate's career in public service advanced significantly, and he eventually became the prefect governor of the Roman province of Judea, holding that position from approximately 26 to 36 AD. In this position, Pilate had a limited amount of power, which he shared in some respects with the Jewish Sanhedrin, an assembly made up of 23 or 71 elders, depending on the role. As prefect of Judea, Pilate was responsible for the general civil administration of the province. His functions included the enforcement of Roman law, the maintenance of public order, and the administration of justice. Furthermore, he had command of the Roman military forces stationed in the region, which gave him considerable authority to maintain control and stability in the province. Pontius Pilate's authority as prefect governor allowed him to use military power to maintain order, suppress rebellions, and confront threats to Roman rule. He was also responsible for collecting taxes and tribute from the population of Judea, a crucial aspect of sustaining the vast Roman Empire through the revenue generated by the provinces. As the highest judicial authority in Judea, Pilate had the power to preside over trials, issue sentences, and administer punishments. His decisions had to conform to Roman law, and he possessed the authority to impose the death penalty. These powers highlight the importance and scope of Pilate's role in maintaining the Roman administrative and judicial structure in the province. In the case of Jesus, Pontius Pilate showed reluctance to make a definitive decision. In Luke's Gospel, we see his indecision at Jesus' trial, where he tries to transfer responsibility to Herod, but Herod ends up returning the matter to Pilate. Luke describes Pilate as a leader who was hesitant to take responsibility for such a significant decision. In chapter 23, even after finding no fault in Jesus, Pilate tries to pass the responsibility to Herod, who was a prince of Judea and had ordered the beheading of the prophet John the Baptist 3 years earlier. When Herod returns Jesus to Pilate, Pilate, in turn, places the decision in the hands of the Jewish people. In the Gospel of John, Pontius Pilate is portrayed in a more arrogant light. He questions Jesus about his claim to be king and even mocks the Messiah when Jesus says he came into the world to testify to the truth. This contrast shows Pilate as someone who, while interrogating Jesus with a skeptical stance, faces pressure from Jewish religious leaders. They insisted that Jesus was a threat to public order and Roman power, although their real fear was that Christ might incite a revolt among the Jews. In the passage from John, when Pilate interrogates Jesus, he explains that his kingdom does not belong to this world and that his mission is to proclaim the truth. After hearing this, Pilate considers Jesus innocent of the accusations of rebellion against Rome and Caesar, without finding any guilt in him. However, despite recognizing Jesus' innocence, Pilate needed courage to oppose the Jews who demanded Jesus' crucifixion. At a time of tension between Jews and Romans, Pilate chose to give in to pressure, preferring to please the crowd rather than remain faithful to what he considered fair. During Easter, following a tradition of releasing a prisoner, Pontius Pilate offered to release Jesus, perhaps hoping to calm the crowd. However, the people chose Barabbas, a known criminal, over Christ. Faced with this tense situation, Claudia, Pilate's wife, sent a message to him while in court, warning him about the serious mistake she could make. The Bible reports her words, "Do not have anything to do with this righteous man, because today in a dream I suffered greatly because of him." Despite Claudia's warning and his own awareness that Jesus was innocent, Pilate faced growing pressure from the population and the fear of a possible revolt. With this, he chose to publicly wash his hands, a symbolic gesture indicating that he did not consider himself responsible for the decision to crucify Jesus. This action left the responsibility for Jesus' death in the hands of the people and religious leaders, as their will prevailed. After Jesus' crucifixion, Pontius Pilate's life as a Roman leader in Judea continued, marked by controversial actions. Historical accounts indicate that, 3 years after Jesus' death, Pilate ordered the arrest and murder of some Galileans who were performing sacrifices in the temple. Furthermore, Pilate would have ordered the massacre of a group of armed Samaritans in a village called Tyana. These Samaritans hoped to find artifacts believed to have been buried by Moses. The leader of this movement, possibly Doso, a Messiah-like figure among the Samaritans at the time, may have been the target of Pilate's actions. The Samaritans, claiming that they were not armed, filed a complaint with the governor of Syria, Lucius Vias the Elder, who ruled from 35 to 39 after Christ. This complaint led to Pilate's call to Rome to face trial before Emperor Tiberius. However, Tiberius had died before Pilate's arrival, placing the date of Pilate's removal as governor at around 37 AD. After Tiberius' death, Pilate's fate was about to be determined by the new emperor, Caligula, one of ancient Rome's most notorious leaders. It is unclear whether there were any formal trials, as new emperors often dismissed outstanding legal matters from previous reigns. The only thing that is certain is that Pilate did not return to be governor of Judea. It's not known exactly why. Could be because the trial didn't go well or because Pilate chose not to return. What we know is that he was sent into exile in the Gaul region, where France is located. The early church historian Eusebius, writing in the early 4th century, said that tradition has it that Pilate committed suicide because of the shame he felt. Eusebius, an early Christian historian, mentions the death of Pontius Pilate in his work History of the Church. He bases this information on tradition, but does not offer many details or specific sources. Another writer, Josephus, in his 18th book of Antiquities, reports that Herod Agrippa, made king by Claudius, killed James, John's brother, with a sword, and that Peter, after being arrested, was crucified. Josephus also mentions in several historical works that Pilate faced so many misfortunes that he ended up taking his own life. In this excerpt, Eusebius mentions that many historical works report Pilate's suicide, but he does not specify which works exactly. He uses the term reported, suggesting that he is conveying information that was part of the tradition of the time, rather than relying on specific documented evidence. Scholars have approached this story with caution due to the lack of independent confirmation and Eusebius' recognition that this information is part of the tradition. The story of Pilate's death may have had a theological purpose, emphasizing the idea of divine retribution for his role in Jesus' crucifixion rather than relying on concrete historical evidence. There has been debate over this claim, although some ancient historians, such as Daniel Schwartz, argue against easily dismissing Eusebius' claims. Other important sources, such as the 2nd century philosopher Celsus, questioned why Pilate was not punished if Jesus was considered divine. The Christian apologist Origen, writing around 248 AD, suggested that no harm happened to Pilate because the responsibility for Jesus' death lay with the Jews, not him. There is no mention of Pilate's supposed suicide in the works of historians such as Josephus, Pholon, or Tacitus. Paul Meyer suggests that Pilate likely retired as a government employee and became a former Roman magistrate with a pension rather than face a more tragic end. Joan Taylor notes that Pholon discusses Pilate as if he were already dead in Embassy to Gas, written a few years after Pilate's term as governor. Pontius Pilate's legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the complex interplay between power, morality, and personal conviction. His important role in the story of the crucifixion, marked by moments of moral and political doubt, continues to intrigue people throughout the centuries. The hand-washing scene, the difficult choices made under pressure, and the consequences faced by Pilate make us reflect on a leader divided between different forces, whether in the sphere of faith or in historical records. The story of Pontius Pilate invites us to explore human nature and makes us think about how our choices can have a lasting impact, especially at crucial moments in life. If you enjoyed learning about the story of Pontius Pilate, share, like, and comment on what you think of the statements about the death and works of Pontius Pilate, who crucified Jesus. Thanks for watching.